Eddie, it's hard for me to write this thing that you write. Because it's hard for me to know that the very same thing that I was thinking to do is thinking that I wanted to do myself is I can never make myself do the same thing that you did want me to do. It's like when I was at UWE and the lecturer asks you a question, you're afraid to answer in case you're wrong and everybody laughs. Then when you hear the answer and you realize it's the same thing that you wanted to say, you feel like kicking yourself for not opening your mouth and making this sound, this sound, this sound, this sound. At the launching, I was thinking how this man, brave and strong, how you can start to write and launch a book so quick. And I said to myself, it's a good thing that he can occupy himself, because when you work and you work and you work and you work and you're thinking how to put this and that together to make something new, you don't have no time to cry.
I'm here with Jean Small, who attended the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, and who is many things. She's an actress, she is a theatre critic and a director, and many other hats that she will tell us about. But we'll begin by saying, welcome, Jean. Thank you for taking this time to be with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And congratulations on being one of the 70 outstanding women who have graduated from the University of the West Indies.
That really meant a lot to me. Thank you.
I'm glad.
For having me too.
So tell me, when did you attend the university and what's the most memorable experience for you?
I came to the university in 1954 as a student of foreign languages. And at that time, Professor Sandman was the head of the department. And one of the interesting things was in the very next year, I acted in the first French play that was put on at the university, Antigone. And for years I was called Antigone because of that performance. And I remember Professor Sadler saying, physically you did not perhaps look like Antigone, but by your performance you created Antigone. I cherish that comment. So it went on from there. That was my first real big experience in acting, and acting in the foreign language, in French. That meant a lot to me, because my French is my main subject of the foreign languages. I did French, Spanish, and Latin at the university. So coming to Jamaica, to the university.
From Guyana?
From Guyana, from a British colony that Guyana was. I was meeting Caribbean people for the first time. That was very significant. I was meeting Trinidadians, Barbadians, Kititians, St. Lucians. I had never met them before. So I got to know the Caribbean through people I met on campus. And particularly I met Maureen Warner Lewis, and Rupert Lewis, and Beverly Hamilton, and African Studies Association of the West Indies, which I became a member of. And I was hearing about Africa for the first time.
And tell us a little bit about, because Maureen Warner Lewis is also one of the people who is one of the outstanding UWE women. What was your experience like meeting Maureen and Rupert?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. As I said, it was an opening of a whole world for me. And so when I graduated, the first thing I wanted to do was to go to Africa. I returned to Guyana after I graduated, and I applied for jobs in Africa, to teach in Africa. And the first job that came through was in Nigeria. I accepted and I went. So I had an African experience, which was rather different from what I expected.
In what way?
In the sense that I was going to find myself as an African, and they don't consider us Africans. We are adulterated blacks. And then when I got there, as a teacher in a secondary school, in a Muslim school, living on the school compound, I was taking some of the teaching that I experienced in my own teaching in schooling in Guyana, and it wasn't really fitting into the way they worked with their students. I couldn't beat boys, for example.
Okay.
They would beat them, you know. Mm-hmm. And I would say, let us institute red points and black points. And that to them was foreign, a way of disciplining. So I had a different way of disciplining students. But you have to fit in, you know. And I also found that I didn't know the African culture. I left Nigeria saying I'm not African. I went there to be African. Because the culture is completely different from what we imagine it to be here. When we talk about I'm an African, I'm an African. Even the way I dressed was foreign to them. I'm black, but there were many things they saw about me that was British or European. And so I'm walking down the street and say, Oyibo, 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 Oyibo.
White.
Which is the word.
Word for white people.
Yes, yes. So, so that was a different understanding of who I am. Also, when I wanted to relax, I would go to the European club. Because there, everything was familiar to me. Jazz music or classical music. I could sit at a bar on a stool and drink a gin and tonic. Africans didn't do that. Africans didn't go to the European club. And at that time I did not know of Homi Baba, but afterwards when I read Homi Baba, then I understood why it was that I was so comfortable in a European club. Because, you know, as he said, in his third space, we have a third space. The people coming out of a post-colonial, coming from a post-colonial society. That's what we know, that has been imposed on us, the culture.
Yeah.
The language we speak, all my sensitivities were those that were imposed on us during colonization.
Let's turn back to the university experience, the experience. So you talk about, for the first time, understanding yourself, understanding what the Caribbean was, meeting people from different islands and getting a sense of, and what was that like, meeting these different people, not just meeting them, but interacting with that? Did you feel a sense of commonality?
I did. And you know, at that time we had our lingo. We had a lingo on campus that nobody else outside of campus would understand.
Oh, really?
And it's a vocabulary that was made up of all these different words. Check-in, you know, was one of the words we used. And nobody off campus would understand when we are relating to each other in that language. But I just got to know the Caribbean through students that I met on campus, the way they spoke, the way they thought, the things they do, the culture that they brought. I was being introduced to that for the first time. So it was a big change for me.
As a female student attending the university in the 50s, would you say that was a good place for you, and that it helped to not only develop your African sensibilities and your connection with Africa, but also develop you as a human being, as someone who could teach French, as you've taught French in many places throughout the Caribbean and Africa, and then theater. So would you credit the university?
I would, yes, because that was my main subject. I'm coming from Guyana, where I was studying French in high school, came straight to the university to continue my work in that area. We didn't do any French Caribbean at that time in the 50s, huh? So I wasn't introduced to French Caribbean literature at that time. It was all France. But I deepened my knowledge about that culturally in the literature. And I think I did well in it as also. And I loved it, and after that I did my professional training as a teacher of foreign languages.
At the university?
At the university. I did my diploma in education immediately after. I graduated in 57. I did my diploma in education in 58. And I started teaching after that. So I started teaching a long time ago.
Right.
Last year was 60 years since I've been teaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since you've graduated from the university, and it has certainly changed quite a bit. But would you say, from what you know, that the university is perhaps still a good place for women and for people from the Caribbean to attend?
I would say yes. The mainly defining yourself as a Caribbean person, being prepared to give back to the Caribbean, because that's what I've done as a teacher all of my life, and I have loved it, I've enjoyed it, and I would say that I did well, in the sense that the government of France awarded me with 3 Chevaliers. I got the highest honor, Légion d'honneur, in 2015. So I think that I did well.
Yeah, you did very well.
I taught, what I learned, I shared with my people. And when I taught students here who went back to their other islands, it's spreading all over the Caribbean, it's not just Jamaica.
Right. So you've had a mushroom effect throughout the Caribbean.
I think so, yes, and I'm very proud of that.